Welcome to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, as always, joined by James and Callum. How you going, guys?
Not bad.
Good. So, a big one this week. We would have talked about it last week, but we weren't all here.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about it
a couple weeks ago.
A few weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, and then we had, real life stuff happen.
Yeah.
So, it's been a few weeks, but we wanted to talk about the menu and Glass Onion today specifically.
Yeah, we'll start with Glass Onion.
Start with Glass Onion.
Yeah.
Rian Johnson's sequel to Knives Out.
Yeah, Rian Johnson.
I will say his name wrong. Rian Johnson.
Yeah, you've been doing that since we started the show.
I see how it's spelled. And I'm just like, it must be Rian, of course.
Yeah,
it's Rian Johnson.
Rian Johnson.
It's Rian Johnson directed Last Jedi. Ryan Johnson directed all his other movies. Which
I'll take that.
Yeah, which
it was his imposter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it what is Stephen Colbert? His evil twin cousin.
Yeah, Colbert.
It was Rian Johnson's evil twin cousin. Yeah.
Rian Johnson.
Yeah. Yeah, so, when did Knives Out come out? 2019?
Or if
or
not
before?
No, before. I'll look it up. I think that's 2017, maybe.
No,
2018. Because I think we reviewed it on the old show.
Let me see.
We didn't review it on Tuesday Review.
2019, yeah.
We must have reviewed it on
2019
Tuesday Review. Yeah,
it made $311 million at the box office.
Not bad. Must have been just pre-COVID.
And it cost like $40 million or something like that. Pretty good.
Yeah, there you
but
go.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, I remember when. So I mean, long-time listeners know how much we hated Last Jedi and how it was a big hubbub. But me personally, I think Rian Johnson is a fantastic writer-director.
Yeah.
I love his movies. Brick and Looper are two of my favorite movies. Brothers Bloom is also good. And so Knives Out was like the test to see if
he still have it?
Yeah, it's like Last Jedi is like did he just lose his talent or was it that specifically that he couldn't handle? And Knives Out came out and we all loved it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I thought it was great, and so we knew he could still do it. And yeah, then they announced a sequel. Then COVID happened, and then. Who was it? Paramount or whoever owned the rights to Knives Out, they sold it to Netflix.
Yeah.
So Glass Onion, the sequel, ended up on Netflix. It got a limited theatrical release, but yeah, it was basically it's a Netflix movie. Glass Onion is, but it's like the same budget as the first one.
Yeah.
And so.
I mean, it's slightly disappointing because I would have liked to have seen it at the cinema.
Yeah, I mean, we could have technically gone, but I was playing for like 1 week, and I didn't want to spend the time and money, and then especially when it was coming out to the streaming. My concern is, which we'll talk about later, is like the fact that it might not get a physical media release, like Blu-ray 4K.
Ooh, I didn't think about that.
That's my problem.
Yeah,
like the movies, I don't care, but I've got the steelbook 4K of Knives Out. I would like to have the Glass Onion.
Yeah, especially such a
4K
good film
as well. Yeah.
I think that's the problem. We were discussing around this issue before we came on the air about like the reasons you need to keep subscribed to some of these streaming services because otherwise there's no way to watch these shows. They don't all get physical releases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, it keeps you bent over, so to speak, over a barrel, right? Because otherwise, how are you going to watch them?
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
If they're not interested in physical releases. And the same way is going with Disney at the moment. People are worried Disney won't release a lot of stuff on physical anymore either.
It's concerning, especially for a collector like me. But anyway, should we talk about the movie?
Yeah.
Glass Onion, sequel to Knives Out, murder mystery. We won't do spoilers because it's still sort of newish.
Yeah, and it's a fun movie to go in not knowing.
Yeah, and it's a murder mystery, so it's like the whole point is the mystery.
Daniel Craig reprises his role as like world-class detective.
Benoit
Blanc.
Yeah. Personally, I liked it, but I think Knives Out is better.
I feel the same way.
So I put them equal because they in my opinion, they are trying to do different things. This movie's a lot more colourful, vibrant. It's a lot more. They're both fun films, but this movie really seems to put its foot more in the fun.
It's like the island holiday.
Yeah,
version.
It's like you can kind of tell they just got a bunch of money and they're like, let's go to some fancy island and have some fun and make a movie. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think that.
I mean, it's not Adam Sandler's murder mystery.
I was gonna say.
Which the trailer for the second movie dropped today. I can't even.
not interested.
It's
Thank
actually
you
not a
very
bad film.
much.
But
I'm very
I'll
interested.
take your
I'm
word for
interested
it.
enough
Yeah,
for all
yeah.
But
of
my
us.
point is that they do different things, and like I appreciate both of them equally. Even if maybe the script for Knives Out was a bit stronger, it's
Knives Out felt tighter,
it's nice to see
sharper.
It's
Yeah.
nice to
Pun
see.
The knives
intended.
were sharper.
Pun intended. Yeah.
It's nice to see lots of colors. You know, I enjoy
Oh, yeah,
seeing
yeah.
that, especially on my beautiful LG.
It looked
OLED.
nice.
As we say,
It's
a lot
very
of
bright.
movies,
It's a
It's
bright
nice to
movie.
see-
a lot of movies are muddy and brown.
You know, it has
Yeah,
a
yeah.
it has a
This
pretty
movie was,
stacked cast, and Dave Bautista I think it's a really great role for him.
Yeah, he's funny.
This kind of not comedic, slightly dramatic, which I know he wants to move in that direction. He's not too keen on doing the big superhero movies anymore. He wants to be more of a drama actor.
He was in Blade Runner. Like he has that.
Yeah,
He's got
he
that
does have that
interesting-
flexibility in him to do those
Yeah.
roles. So it's going to be fascinating to see where he goes with his career now, because
Yeah.
I think he's going to be like the anti Rock. You know what I mean?
I've always been much more interested in his career. The Rock, I couldn't care less about.
No.
But every time Batista's in a movie, even if it's like a straight to DVD movie, it's like,
Yeah,
Oh,
apart
that's
from Escape Plan
bit-
2. But
yeah.
yeah.
but it's like
Oof.
it's more interesting if you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what he's doing.
As well as what's his name? Gosh, I'm blanking. The billionaire. Edward Norton. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Who else is in the film?
Kate Hudson
Hugh Grant has a
Ethan-
cameo.
Yeah, cameo. Who?
Ethan Hawke.
Oh, he had a small cameo.
Yeah, he's in
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
We're joined by Alan as he
Alan,
just
Go get a chair.
as he I guess fashionably
No, he
lately
won't-
enters the studio. He's
Yeah,
gonna
get
stand.
a chair from in
He's
there.
gonna go
Yeah.
get a chair. That's all right. So
Yeah. So what we were
it's-
talking
Yeah,
about?
stacked cast.
cast.
Stacked cast. Beautiful colors.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt does his best hourly.
Oh
dog
yeah, cameo.
impersonation.
There's always a JGL cameo in a Ryan Johnson movie.
And also just really cool props. Like, you know, we talk about it all the time about CG
What
and
about
stuff. And
Janelle Monáe, the like basically the
Monáe,
main character
yeah.
of the movie.
there is CG in this film, I'm sure, but
Yeah,
there's a lot of good physical stuff in the film,
It's-
which I really
like
appreciate.
I said, it's roughly the same budget as Knives Out, around 40-ish million. Knives Out is obviously a much more contained movie that takes place mostly in the house,
Yeah.
whereas this movie takes place mostly on that luxury island.
Yeah.
with some
and the-
flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah, and then
Alan's
obviously
just
there's
wheeling
other
the chair in
part.
like Will Smith in Men in Black.
There's
With Hugh Grant's in it.
yeah, no,
We already went
mentioned
over
it.
that, yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so I think the budget is stretched a little thinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a couple of moments where it's like there's a couple of digital effects
Yeah,
where you're
yeah,
like,
yeah. But that's fine.
but nothing really egregious. Yeah.
yeah.
How you going, Alan?
I'm doing all right.
Very
You
good.
didn't think I'd come?
No,
I was
well,
like,
you know,
surprised.
Well,
every
you're a bit late.
But listen, look,
And he's dragging your chair.
But listen, that's all
Will
right.
Smith style like a Man in Black dragging
Yeah.
the table. You know, like
Adds a bit of excitement for
Yeah.
live listeners. Look, for listeners at home, to keep them in context, every week I send Alan a message or I talk to him and we're like, you coming on the show this week? And he's like, yeah, I'll come. And he never does. It's a cursory invite, but I appreciate his presence.
see, this time I was like, oh, I'll see. And then bam, I was like surprised.
That's it. He's got to keep some of that
Hang on,
toes.
but the question is, did you watch Glass Onion?
No.
Of course you did.
I watched Knives Out though.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
You're halfway there.
Yeah.
So the cast is good, but the budget's stretched a bit thin.
I mean,
in comparison
that
to the
might
first
be, yeah, that might be,
It's not a gripe per se.
No.
yeah, no,
Might be a little
like
harsh,
I'm
but-
exaggerating it,
Yeah.
but there are moments of it where I was like, yeah, but no, otherwise it look like I said, it looks fine. Cast is great.
I think the great thing about this I don't know, is anthology the right word? The great thing about this project,
Well-
the Knives Out project, if we can call it that,
Yeah,
is that Ryan Johnson seems to have a lot of fun making these characters and writing these scripts. And so far, I mean, it's only 2 movies, right? I mean,
the third one has already been
yeah. So even if it's just a trilogy,
confirmed.
he seems to have a lot of fun with these characters in these worlds.
Well,
And I think that also gives the
it's-
actors seem to have fun as
Yeah.
well, and that all comes through. So even if the film's not the strongest, it's like you have some talented actors having fun on set with interesting characters doing interesting things.
I think like Knives Out was funny. I think this movie is deliberately funnier. Like it's more goofy and
Yeah.
farcical.
yeah,
yeah.
That's not a bad thing. I'm just saying more so than Knives Out. It was like
it
more.
fits the script. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think what Callum said was true, and he's got a new project out, which we're not going to talk about now because it hasn't finished. Poker Face.
Poker Face,
In this, into similar vein of like a
it's like a
whodunit,
murder mystery, who done it,
kind of Columbo-esque kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, he's carving himself a little niche.
Yeah,
And
he's really good at it.
And
Yeah,
he's
I was
really
saying,
good at
it's
it.
like he's
Poker Face is really good. I
Yeah.
like Callum hasn't seen it yet, but like I watched the first 3 episodes, and like I think Poker Face is better than Glass Onion.
I think it is. I've only seen the first episode, but it's
Yeah.
like 80 minutes long or something for the first episode, something like that. It's
70, yeah.
70.
Yeah.
And like it could be its own movie. I had a great time watching
Yeah.
it. And it's what Callum said. You can tell everybody involved is having fun making it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a joy that comes across.
Yes, it's a murder mystery, but
Yeah.
it's like a fun kind
Yeah.
of who done it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Natasha
So-
Lyonne, she makes everything good.
Oh, she's so good.
I think it's great for a director to find something they like doing and then hopefully they don't have to stick to it, right? Ryan Johnson should make whatever he wants to make as long as it's not Star Wars related.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But it's nice. I hope he pursues murder mysteries because it's something he seems he's really good at and he can get the best out of his cast.
Well,
and crew.
I
He
mean-
started his career with Brick.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's also
exactly.
true. Yeah.
But I'm like, I hope he doesn't do this forever because that would be boring. But
Yeah,
at
but,
the
you know,
moment,
as long as he wants to keep doing
like
it.
right now, he's carved like a little
He's got
niche,
a
and
groove
he's
going.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's being very successful at what he's doing. There's a Glass Hunt. There's a Knives Out third movie coming out. That Netflix has the rights to do another one.
Yeah.
And there's Poker Face. So at the moment, yeah, this is awesome, and he's doing a good job at it.
It's also nice to see Daniel Craig enjoying himself because, you know, he was a bit of a grumpy guts when they were making the Bond movies.
Yeah, he's like, I want to die. Kill me.
Yeah,
I'd rather die than be
it's
James
like that.
Bond.
You know that scene in Harry Potter where
They're
Harry
trying to
has
feed
to feed
Gandalf
Dumbledore.
no,
he has
not
to
Gandalf.
He has to feed
Dumbledore.
Dumbledore like
The cup of grudge or whatever they called
the
it.
cup liquid, and Dumbledore's like, "Just kill me, Harry, please, no more."
He's
I don't
drink,
remember
to
that
get
at
to the
all.
Horcrux at the bottom. He has to drink the.
Yeah.
I don't remember
And
that.
basically,
terrible liquid.
Dumbledore begs for death. In
Yeah.
this analogy, it's Daniel Craig being forced
Yeah.
to drink
James Bond.
Martini.
drink the martinis by the Broccoli's. Like, drink it. You're a catch cow. You can't stop.
But yeah, no, it's good to see him having fun and
Like,
like
I remember-
actually having, like I said, that sense of enjoyment.
I remember when we saw Knives Out, and it was like, oh, Daniel Craig's really good in this role, and
It's
it's
because he
really
cares a
fun.
bit. Not cares, but it's because he's allowed to.
Yeah, and it's a fun character.
yeah. It's
like-
not that physical. He can just embody
Yeah.
the character and have a good time.
Yeah, it's a fun character in a fun world.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I really liked it, but yeah, I think Knives Out was like
I think Knives Out is better.
but
that's not to say this is
yeah,
bad.
but I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, like it's good, like it's a good movie, and like I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.
I think like, not to spoil anything, but there is a mid-movie twist that I wasn't really sure about. And
Yeah.
by the end of the movie, I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I felt like,
it didn't quite earn everything.
yeah. And like you're following a certain character till halfway, and then all of a sudden you're following a different character, and you're like, oh, that's a different
And then
character.
it kind of starts from the beginning.
Yeah,
again,
and it's just like, oh, so our main character wasn't our main character, and now
Yeah.
this is our main character, and it's like, yeah, I wasn't sure if it really worked. At the end of the movie, I was like, this is fine, but yeah, I don't know if it worked as well as something like Knives Out.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about the Glass Onion, Alan?
Well, if it's anything like Knives Out was, I'd imagine it'd be a good movie to watch.
Yeah.
Very
It is,
With a
yeah.
nice bit of twistiness, and you know, like a. Would it be? How did you feel about? Obviously, I guess Knives Out is. We're allowed to go full spoiler, at least.
Knives Out, yeah, that's
Yeah,
old
'cause,
enough. I think you can spoil.
Like, the whole idea that they had swapped the poisons, or swapped the medication with
the main
poison.
character's the killer, but not for the reason you
Yeah.
think.
But then there's also the fact that there's a twist of like she still, even though she went into the jar that was switched out,
Yeah.
she still poured the correct one because she knew the viscosity and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And so it was like all twisty. So I was like, I don't know how I felt about that, but still, overall the way the movie played out, I was like,
I like that because oftentimes with murder mysteries, the mystery is fun, but when the reveal happens, it's kind of like whatever. And
Yeah.
Knives Out was one of the murder mysteries I felt where the payoff felt like as good as the mystery itself. Glass Onion, I was like, whatever on the reveal, but the journey was good.
the friends we made along the way was the real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the journey, not the destination.
It's the
But
ending's always the hardest part.
Yeah, the best murder mysteries is where both is good, the journey and the destination, which I think Knives Out nailed that. for me anyway. And Glass Onion was more the journey was better than the destination.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think one of the reasons we decided to talk about this and the menu as well is because the Glass Onion is very...
It's like a satirical look at billionaires and wealth
like,
and ego.
Yeah,
Influencer culture.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like people who think they're like top shit. You know,
Yeah.
rich influencer. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, for context, Glass Onion essentially is about Benoit Blanc gets invited to a birthday party for a billionaire, and things aren't what they seem.
Yeah.
And so it's like everyone invited is either wealthy somehow or is an influencer somehow,
And
they'll have connections.
They're all
to,
riding on the coattails of this
of the billionaire.
yeah.
And the menu has similar themes about ego, success, riding coattails,
Yeah.
that type of leech
Privilege,
systems you get often with because there's this idea that you see in left political circles where it's like no billionaire earns $1 billion. It's all it's all trickery of the
Inherited
system because you can't earn millions of dollars. You leverage the system, and that's what these two movies kind of get at as well. It's the notion that obscene wealth isn't earned. It's generated.
And I mean,
not a person doesn't generate wealth. You know what I mean? Like the system does.
Knives Out had that as well, whereas like this super rich guy who was the one to generate the wealth by his successful author career, and all his like annoying family who were
the leeches,
leeching, and that whole the whole point, like the whole thing of the movie was like the immigrant nurse was
the only one not trying to suckle at the teat of
exactly
capitalism.
and was the most honest character, and so I think and Glass Onion has that. It's not an exact replica of
but
Knives
it's a
Out. Similar themes of like all these rich douchebags riding on the coattails of this Elon Musk-esque idiot who basically
I do love how he uses words in the wrong context as well. It's funny.
He's just so dumb, but he just has the money to like give people like smart people and say
and everyone
make this.
nods. It's like Elon Musk in the Twitter office. Like imagine all those poor guys like yes, Elon, good idea, Elon.
and then you've got the reveal of the main character being like a normal everyday person. So it's a similar themes, and then we watched the menu, which should we like move into the menu?
We'll move into the
Do
menu.
you have anything else to say about Glass Onion?
No, I
Alan
think
hasn't
we've
seen it. We're all good.
Yeah.
Wait, was the menu the one that they have to go to that weird restaurant and everything
Yes.
goes crazy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was invited to see that.
Well, it came out on streaming.
It came out on Disney Plus.
We didn't
man.
go
to
see
see
movies.
it. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the movie. Yeah.
But then we decided, what's the point? Because we thought the trailer showed us the whole film.
so-
Which I kind of regret not going now because the trailer, while it showed a lot, I was kind of surprised.
I do think it's still a case of the trailer showed too much,
did
even
show
though
too
it didn't
much.
show everything, and it showed things that weren't exactly the way I thought they would be in the movie.
It still showed too much.
I do remember seeing the trailer and then eventually seeing the movie and going like, I wish I'd never saw a trailer for this because it would have been so much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember like I wanted to see it at the movies and we didn't see it, and then it only took a couple months to come on Disney Plus here in Australia.
Yeah, well, because it like everything, I'm pretty sure it didn't come out in the States and everywhere else a lot earlier.
Probably,
too, so it's
yeah.
like, well,
Yeah, but
Okay.
you know, sometimes we get shafted. We don't get anything here.
I will
Yeah.
I will say it's kind of was kind of marketed as a horror movie or a horror satire movie. I think I would debate.
It's a thriller.
Yeah, I wouldn't class it as that. I would class it as a
I think
thriller.
I was thinking about this the other day. Like anything with a level of violence or threat of violence, I think can be considered horror. Anything with supernatural, obviously, is horror. But yeah, like horror thriller. But yeah, I think this is more of a thriller.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So yeah, basically this is about an exclusive restaurant, the best restaurant in the
It's
world.
like on a little island,
It's on an island
private
based
island.
It's like on a private island where they source all the ingredients themselves.
Similar
from
to
the
Glass
island,
Onion, the
similar to
island.
the glass, yes,
Yeah.
similar to Glass Onion. It's like it's
Yeah.
an exclusive island, but it's a restaurant, and everything is sourced
Fancy,
from
fancy,
it's all local produce from the island, or you know.
Slightly offshore, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the idea of exclusivity, right? It's like because the island, is it the island or just a restaurant called Hawthorne? I'm not sure. but you have to take a ferry to get there. He
Yeah.
does like I don't know how many.
I can't remember how much.
how many times he operates a year, but it's like exclusive.
Yeah,
He's
and
like the best chef in the
obviously,
world.
yeah, it's obviously just the reservation alone costs
Thousands.
God knows how much. I can't remember. They put a number on it at a certain point, but it's a lot of money.
It's a gross
So,
amount of cash.
Yeah, you have to be ridiculously wealthy, and it's very exclusive. And it's like a celebrity chef played by Ray Fiennes, and they go to the island, and it's all that pretentious. High cuisine, like 1p in the middle of a giant plate. And it's supposed to be like art and food at the same time.
And every meal is delivered with this essay on some specific subject.
He comes out and he says this whole story behind it. And as the night goes on,
it gets more and more pretentious.
Yeah. Anya Taylor-Joy's character, the main character, who's there with Nicholas Holt's character, who's
she's like a last minute guest.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah. She wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Nicholas Holt's this rich douchebag who's just dragged her along, and she starts to realize as the night goes on, is like, one, this food's pointless and terrible, and two, there's something,
It's not quite right.
going on,
Yeah.
something shifty going on, and we won't spoil it, but it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, it was much better than I thought it was going to be.
And I will just say, I like how the Glass Onion and the Menu kind of end in a similar way.
They're both similar movies, and they both have similar themes and messaging.
Yeah.
The privilege and the elitism, and the haves and have-nots.
Yeah, and it's funny because the actors in these films are both going to rock up to the Oscars and get like $100,000 in a gift bag.
yeah. Are they gonna?
Oh yeah, there's always that
Double think.
Yeah, I was thinking about it because like I was watching. I'm like, there are so many movies, movies I love about how rich people suck that costs hundreds of millions, like not hundreds of millions, but it costs millions of dollars.
It has no bearing on the film. It's just kind of ironic.
And it's also something I've grappled with, like as someone who loves movies, and we talk a lot about budget of movies on the show. And I'm kind of torn between like, well, we still need to be making art, and we need to be making art that challenges people and has a message and whatever, and also entertaining, obviously.
Yeah.
But also to make that art in the best way, you need money, and where do you get the money? You get it from, people who might not be the best.
Exactly.
They might be a part of the problem you're making fun of.
We've talked about it many times before. Art is the compromise. Film is the compromise between art and commerce. So more so than any other art form.
Exactly.
We
had a similar conversation on Saturday about video games too.
Exactly, video games as well. Like, they're similar to movies in the fact that they're spending so much time and money on making them.
Yeah.
Alan, to keep you in the loop, on Saturday we talked about how we're having more fun playing games that cost a lot less to make. Indie games.
They're more interesting, the weirder ones.
The weirder ones. The games today are coming out 10 years late behind schedule, and they're costing like $300 million to make.
And they're buggy messes that don't work.
And I guess part of this probably, you have such an expectation once you hear these things that it's cost $300 million to make. It's a
Where did it go?
Then you're like, well, this is crap. Whereas I think part of it is, with the indies, you give them a bit of slack. You're just like, well, I don't expect the best of everything here. But they usually end up surpassing expectations, because I guess we're expecting a reasonable game at all times. I don't think we're ever expecting something
as polished as a AAA game.
Or crap as well. But it's an interesting time.
But yeah, the Menu.
But anyway, the Menu. So it's got the same themes, and that's why we decided to talk to.
They're a good double
about
feast.
Yeah, it's like.
I think the menu's in like an hour and a half long. It's not too long.
I really enjoyed the actual presentation of the film, how it's divided up into courses.
Because
I actually thought that was really clever. I liked it.
I watched a trailer and you're like, it looks like a thriller or whatever, and you watch the movie itself and
it's like a slow burn.
But I was surprised at how funny it was.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
And not funny in the same way as a normal comedy or as Glass Onion where it's goofy or whatever. It's just very darkly
I
funny.
laugh.
Darkly satirical.
No, I
Oh,
laugh
Yeah.
my
like
ass
high
off.
Food.
Yeah,
I laughed my ass off in Slowick. Is that his name?
I think so. Yeah,
He starts quoting Martin Luther King.
yeah,
I thought that was hilarious.
yeah. There's
Like
so
that's,
many,
that's what James is talking about.
Yeah.
Like inappropriate stories,
and
inappropriate
even
events.
even
they just
the
make
course,
it darkly
even
comic.
the course, like there. I won't spoil it, but you know, it comes up on screen with text every time there's a different
A
course
picture
of
of the menu
meal.
and then a
And
description.
a description of the meal and what's in it, and it gets funnier as the movie
Yeah.
goes on.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was surprised that and I think that's what elevated the movie from good to great,
Yeah.
because I was like,
It's very well
if
done,
you-
very well edited and well made.
exactly. And it looks great, and the
Yeah.
cast is great, and you know it's well written and well shot and whatever. But you know, if it was a more serious movie, just a thriller, it would have been good.
Yeah.
But I think what really stuck with me is like that it's actually really funny
yeah.
and
Yeah, 'cause
satirical,
it-
and I think that's what would make it for me. It bumps it up,
Yeah.
and also I think it would make it better for a rewatch.
Yeah.
Because I think if this movie was just serious, I don't know.
It'd be too dry.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I would like it, but I'm like, I'm not sure when I would watch it again. But like, I think I would rewatch this movie
yeah.
because of
The
like
humor,
I know it's gonna. Because I was watching it, I'm like, I can't tell it how much I like this. Because I'm like, I don't know if I would rewatch this anytime soon.
Yeah.
But I think as it went on, I'm like, I think the humor is what will bring me back.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies where you might be able to pick things up as well on a rewatch.
There's definitely a lot of foreshadowing and
Um,
things you don't notice until there's a certain reveal, and you're like, "Oh, what they said made
It's
sense."
also a good
before.
critique on review culture,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, which we
Like-
stand against in this show.
which we're often
reviewers
not on
suck.
the,
We
Yeah.
suck.
as we sit here reviewing a movie about reviewers.
But my point is though, we're indie reviewers. We don't write for no newspaper, and you know we don't hop
We
on
don't
that
get paid
train.
for this.
Yeah, no. And
We suck on our own dime.
Yeah, I thought that sentence was going something a bit different.
But honestly, if you've listened to this show, you know
What
we
you
have
laughing at, Alan?
the spiciest takes.
Yeah,
So it's like you're not going to get any Hawthorne reviews on this show.
yeah.
But it's a movie essentially also about how, we'll say, high critics, right? How they basically make or destroy livelihoods and careers.
Yeah.
And how could one person have that much power based on an opinion?
It's a criticism of
Of how much we take stock of other
of not just
people's-
like the foodie kind of pretentious like cuisine, like of any like art or
Yeah.
film criticism.
Yeah.
it's high critics. It's
So
like
also- it al-
film, music, everything. It applies
Yeah.
to everything.
It
as a
also
blanket.
it also satirizes the way we treat celebrities as well. It's
Yeah.
like this idea of having someone as vaunted,
Putting them on a pedestal. and
when in reality they're just a human being. So when you see Ray Fiennes deliver some of his lines,
it's
you're like, wow, what a douchebag. And then everyone's like listening in rapture
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
him as he
Which-
delivers everywhere.
it
And it
work-
has a cult-like feel, which I really
works,
like.
Well, the only reason it works for me is because Anya Taylor-Joy is the odd person.
Yeah,
out.
she's like the straight man,
audience
yeah.
surrogate.
the
for all
ordinary person.
The
that-
ordinary person
yeah.
with all the craziness going around her. She's like,
Yeah.
am I the only one that thinks
Yeah,
this is weird? Kind of-
exactly. And
fish out of water thing.
she's the one. Not to I won't spoil it, but she's the one who figures out that like the pretentiousness, that elitism and rich foodie culture and these super rich people who are completely on their own in the clouds,
Yeah.
and she's the one who figures out, it's like, well, that's the key to
Solving the mystery.
solving the mystery is like the way they've sucked the fun and life and joy and passion
Yeah.
out of something the head chef, Ray Fiennes' character, should love.
Yeah.
Especially, like considering this movie, it can apply to everything, but this movie's about food. It's just like, well, you've made it too pretentious and now you're ruining it. The kind of that. Kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Bring it
Exactly.
back to the basics.
And it's the same with anything like movies or whatever. It's just like, if you suck the fun out of it for whoever's making it, and it's like, it's not like
So we're trying to say this is supposed to be like Marco Pierre White or Gordon Ramsay's kind of wet dream about killing,
in a way, yes, but also it's not. It's also not one-sided in the fact that it's just like, oh, the critics suck the fun all out of it, and the artist,
everyone's
the artist is the true artist, and you should leave him alone. No, it's also like the artist has gone nuts and has completely lost sight of what they're doing and why they're doing it.
And without spoiling it, it's like we can't really go too much into going into spoiler territory. But basically, it's like there's not much sympathy going around by the end of the movie necessarily.
Yeah. And that's what's so fascinating to me is because like you watch the film and Ray Fiennes' personality is this holier than thou guy, but then as the movie goes on, it gets revealed that maybe he's not as high and mighty as he thinks he is as well. And it has some really good choreography. There's some really great shots of cooking, which is neither here nor there, but I thought that was interesting. I don't see much movies about restauranting and stuff like that.
There are quite a few movies, but like...
Pig.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the way they were plating up meals and stuff, it reminded me of Pig. It reminded me of Hannibal, those scenes where they're plating up all the fancy food and all that. You guys still haven't watched The Bear, which is one of the best shows on TV right now, which is about, chefs and cooking and stuff. And it's like visually it's really interesting, but also the idea, like with Glass Onion, like with Knives Out, like with the other movies, is like that the haves and the have-nots, and that separation, and the way the movie deals with that by using food, and the restaurant and the criticism as a criticism.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and it's really tense as well. It's funny and tense at the same time. I don't want to say it's Jordan Peele-esque because that's so
ever so slightly.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it has a whisper.
You know what? It's the way they handle satire. So Jordan Peele's a really clever director in that he can handle tough themes, but also weave, like you were saying, like a black comedy kind of element into it. That's what makes him so great. And they achieve similar things in this film where it is heavy subject matters. It's not like nobody has fun in this film.
Yeah, it's not like I said. It's not as goofy as Glass Onion.
I think sound design has a lot to do with it in this movie as well.
Maybe,
when he's trying to get the audience's attention, he claps, and it's that kind of. That's almost a Jordan Peele.
It's a very dramatic theatrical presentation they put on for their guests.
There's also, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a culty aspect that I really like.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier as well.
Yeah.
So it definitely does have shades of Jordan Peele. But
I don't like throwing that out there because it's like everything now is Jordan Peele-esque.
Oh no, but
you know what I mean when I say that. It's got
some people look at any horror movie and be like, "Oh wow, that's so Jordan Peele."
Yeah, it's got a great balance between the tension and the thriller aspect, and also the kind of humor, funnier aspect, and also all the time kind of weaving the theme throughout.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked it. Yeah. There was another movie I saw recently. That came out recently as well, Triangle of Sadness.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's also a movie about, class division.
Yeah, I didn't hear about it until today.
Oh, really?
I got an email from Criterion saying they're releasing it.
Yeah. No, it's really good. It's also that kind of really funny but also kind of tense movie about like super rich people on like a mega yacht, and then things go wrong, and it's about, the class division and the kind of crew and the working class portion of the ship and the kind of wealthy guests.
Hopefully this political awareness extends to the viewers as well as the directors.
No. Oh, yeah, no, most people just get mad.
What do you mean the rich people lost? What a bad
yeah.
Well, on that subject,
this movie's woke.
Ben Shapiro did not enjoy Glass Onion.
Yeah, because it misdirected him.
Yeah, and he was like, "This is so dumb."
Just stew on that for a second. This idiot got mad at a murder mystery for misdirecting the viewer. This guy's dumber than a rock. Like saying he's dumber than rocks. It was insult to rocks. Like Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. We'll be right back after this short break. You're back on the Tuesday review. So yes, Glass Onion and The Menu, very good movies. Go watch them.
Yes.
Yeah. Would dine.
Yeah, would dine again.
How many Michelin stars?
Oh.
Is it out of 5?
It's out of 3.
It's out of 3.
Out of 3. Okay.
Yeah, 3 Michelin stars.
4 Michelin stars then.
The other movie we wanted to talk about tonight is another Ray Fiennes movie.
Yeah,
which we didn't intend that, but it ended up that way.
Yeah, well, this is an interesting one because I'd never heard of this movie, and then it was a big deal because it came to a streaming service.
Yeah, so I don't know if I've ever mentioned this movie on the show before. I think, do you guys remember before the pandemic we did like a sci-fi classics?
Yeah.
episode? I might have mentioned it there. So might be one of my favorite movies. I know I say that about a lot of movies, but I have a lot of
This
favorite
is very
movies.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a movie. It's like it came out in 1995, Strange Days.
Yeah.
And I'd say the definition of a cult classic. Like most people wouldn't have heard of this movie. And
I hadn't. Yeah.
It's not a small movie. It's a pretty big budget movie.
And it has Vincent D'Onofrio in it. What more do you want?
Yeah.
But like, it's one of those movies that just it bombed at the box office when it came out and just never really gained.
The world wasn't ready for it.
It was so ahead of its time because I'd never seen it, so I watched it and I was Nathan told me, he's like, James Cameron wrote this film. I'm like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
for a start, he wrote it, didn't direct it. That's interesting.
Back to what I was saying. I'd never heard of it.
Yeah,
and on the internet was making a big deal out of this movie because it's like one of the first times it's ever come to streaming.
It's one of the reasons it is so sort of underrated and underseen is because it's kind of hard to find.
Yeah,
and it was like came out on DVD. I don't remember how I first saw it, but I remember I had it on DVD. And but it was hard. It's out of print. It's hard to find. It wasn't released on Blu-ray. It was released on Blu-ray 10 years ago in Germany, and
I think it's been re-released or
it was re-released in 2017 in the UK. But it's never been released in the US, which obviously is its home country and where it would gain that big audience following. So it's a very cult movie where it's kind of like hard to find, hard to see. People haven't really heard of it. When I went to Germany 10 years ago, I found it on Blu-ray and I actually bought it in their, whatever their version of JB Hi-Fi is, whatever it's called.
JB Hi-Fi.
You have to say it more angry. It sounds more German.
Die für Hers Video Store.
Der Video Hausen.
Yeah, that's
so I actually bought it physically, the German copy in Germany. Like I didn't have to import it here. And it's always been one of my favorite movies because it's like this movie was made for me.
Yeah. Well, I watched this film and I said before, we were explaining it to Alan who hasn't seen it, and I was like, it's probably maybe one of the best examples of cyberpunk I've ever seen on screen.
Do you remember when we were talking about RoboCop?
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, it's so cool, so cyberpunk. And I was like, yeah, it's hard to find actually really good cyberpunk movies. There's like The Matrix, Blade Runner. That's about it in terms of the bigger budget ones.
Yeah.
Then you got like a lower tier one like Johnny Mnemonic or something. And then you got like the more B movie kind of really underground kind of ones. This movie is a great example of like a bigger budget American cyberpunk movie.
Yeah.
Like it's a great example of the cyberpunk genre.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea what I was walking into. I knew it was sci-fi, and it's like, people throw around the word cyberpunk, but then some people...
They can't back
a
it
lot
up,
of people's
yeah.
ideas
yeah,
about
people
what
just if it's sci-fi, people go, it's cyberpunk.
It's not necessarily my idea what cyberpunk is, but
yeah.
this is cyberpunk to a T.
Yeah.
I like, it was fascinating.
I mean, we won't spoil it, but I mean, we should probably tell people what it's about.
Yeah.
So, James Cameron wrote a treatment for an idea he had in like the late 80s. And he didn't get it made and he kind of shelved it. And then he was married to Catherine Bigelow in the early 90s and he kind of gave it to her to work on. And then the Rodney King riots happened and that kind of changed, what she wanted to do with it.
Yeah.
And so it didn't come out till 1995. So it's based on his idea and his kind of treatment, but it was kind of rewritten, and Catherine Bigelow directed it. Catherine Bigelow is such a good director that I think one of the reasons this movie has that cult status is because it's her movie. If it was a James Cameron movie, it would be huge. Even like something like The Abyss, which is one of his big movies, but it's like a lesser known movie or whatever, like it would still be a big deal. But because it's hers, I think and she's such a great director that I don't think gets respected enough. It adds it to that cult status. Anyway, so it's about so it's set on New Year's Eve 1999, which is technically the future in this, in when the movie came out, when James Cameron came up with the idea. Obviously, by the time they made it in 95, it was only 4 years in the future, and it's like
it was written with 10 years in mind, 10 years in the future.
Yeah, it's not even 4 years in the future technically, and there's like people has technology and stuff. But anyway, and it's like Ray Fiennes plays
anime cop, basically.
Yeah, an
anime
anime
detective.
detective.
yeah, sort of. It's a good way to put it. But he's like an ex-cop who's like, he's basically a sleazy drug dealer, but instead of drugs, he sells VR experiences.
Memory chips, basically.
Yeah. So there's a device called the Squid, which you put on your head, and it can record.
They call them decks?
Deck is the actual physical.
Yeah, which I like, because that's a cyberpunk word. I heard deck, and I was like, I feel so seen.
All the terminology in this movie is so cool. Like, the snuff films are called blackjacks. Yeah. And he's like, I don't deal in blackjack. So I'm like, this movie is for me. Like, it's like made for me. Anyway, so he sells. So the Squid, you put on the Squid, and it not only records your memories, but it records your entire human experience, sensory experience. Yeah. Sight, smell, taste. Like sound. It records that, and then you can sell that chip, like a little chip, disc. Yeah, a little mini disc. To someone, and they can play it on their
and
deck
experience it,
and so you can do something that you would never do in real life: rob a bank, become another person. Basically.
I like the little details in this movie as well, because it's like this. It's like said in the movie, like the Squid was created by the FBI, and like for their
use, like military, military
tech for
purpose,
use in investigations and all that kind of military.
Which is true for a lot of technology.
No, but I'm like, that's such a cool thought. It's like a throwaway line.
The first 50 minutes of this movie is all world building and introducing characters. The plot doesn't kick in till after 50 minutes.
It's great.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like I mean, even the movie starts strong, man. Like it starts with like a long take, right?
Yeah,
like
he's driving through the streets and there's like cops beating up people and like fire in the streets and
there's like a robbery and it's just like
the one take,
one take
because it's all POV because it's a recording of the guy's memories, so it's all like the one. That's fantastic, especially at the time. They had to like build a mini camera and a mini rig to
so good.
It's such a good movie.
Again, underrespected, underappreciated.
Yeah. More people need to see it.
And Ray Fiennes' performance in this is.
Yeah, he's so sleazy, it's great.
Yeah. Although there was a twist about halfway through-ish
that you can see
coming, and I called it pretty much straight away.
I think
that's slightly disappointing.
The thing with the movie is like it's like 2.5 hours long, and like I said, the actual because then there's a murder mystery where someone witnesses a murder wearing one of the squids, and so they have
it's like the villains chasing down.
They're chasing the person who has the chip and whatever.
The evidence.
Yeah. And like, so that doesn't kick in till halfway, and then there's like another murder mystery, and it's just like, and there's so much going on with the world and the millennium and the boiling point of the city of Los Angeles in the future.
I'd like to see this redone as like a mini series, like a limited series.
Yes and no. I think like taking some of the ideas and doing it, sure,
not one for
one. The movie itself is so great because it's that type of movie we talk about every episode that doesn't get made anymore.
Yeah.
And R-rated,
not a lot of CG,
violent, adult-oriented, science fiction, drama, action, thriller.
I amend that. I want to see Nicholas Winding Refn do a limited series with this concept.
With the recording memories concept, I would be interested to see what he does with that. That concept
specifically, like a drama crime thing revolving.
Yeah, that would be cool.
One thing that makes Strange Days so great, like James was alluding to, is the fact that there's a little bit of CG. I'm sure there isn't like most
not really,
movies,
no.
But like they built stuff for this film, and it's still like you watch it now, and it still holds up because they built it. It's like when I talked about RoboCop, right? They built stuff. It doesn't age.
They went to location and they shot. There's extras on the streets, and there's cars driving by, and there's people.
And it's a dark film, right? And so if this film was made today, it'd look terrible because they don't know that. I feel like most directors now have forgotten how to film in dark places.
Yeah,
the studios, I guess, don't like
how
to do that. But it's dark, but they built stuff. But
it's colourful.
It's colourful. The lighting is well done, so you can actually see what's going on screen.
And the sets and locations are fantastic. The costume design is really cool.
what's his name? Ray Fiennes' costume itself, like I said, it's like something out of an anime.
Yeah.
He has this really weird,
It's like leather,
fancy
coat. It's
style
it's like
going on.
snakeskin jacket,
And he
leather.
has
Yeah,
his Rolex.
fake Rolex.
His
yeah.
fake
Yeah,
Rolex.
and
Keeps trying to-
he talks in this really funny accent, this like American lower register kind of monotone
Yeah, he's like,
voice.
hey, I got this. You want me to Rolex? You know, he's like this
Yeah.
kind of sleazy used car salesman.
Yeah,
He
and
keeps trying to get out of trouble, and he's like very sweaty. It's a very sweaty.
And it
performance.
sounds chaotic to describe the film in this way, but it all works so well together.
But it's the right kind of cyberpunk too. As James said, it's not just like a science fiction movie that they're calling cyberpunk. It's like a world
It's an
that's
actual cyberpunk.
it's a world
yeah,
that's
it's-
basically fallen apart.
Yeah, but the
There's no real
technology
government.
is-
It's
yeah.
just military police.
That's the
There's
other thing.
like
Unfortunately, like we talk about with a lot of science fiction movies, it's more relevant now than it was back then. Not a lot has
Yeah.
changed.
No.
But at
You
a
know?
base level, it's perfect cyberpunk because it's not trying to be too high sci-fi. It's not. It's more grounded.
It's- yeah.
and it's like a world basically that's
it's-
just
it's-
the world
it's
has
grungy,
just
yeah.
crumbled.
It's not 100 years in the
Yeah.
future. It's literally like what would happen in a few years from now.
It's-
Like
yeah,
if things keep heading the way they're heading, like this is kind
and
of
yeah,
what it's
like
like.
what happened if the government crumbled? What would happen if there's basically there's no law and order. There is
Yeah.
law and order, but it's brutalist.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
The
basically-
over militarization of
Yeah.
police, which is happening in real life, the targeting of minority people, which is happening in real life, everything that was happening around Rodney King and the LA riots
Yeah.
and was happening around the time of the movie is also happening now. So it's that perfect.
It was a good time to watch this movie. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's
a good time to be back on streaming.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like it's that
prescient,
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, it was perfect for its time, but also kind of ahead of its time in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I also think that its description of cyberpunk as well might have gone over a lot of people's heads. The use of the word deck just in everyday vernacular, not really,
Yeah.
there's no glossary at the start.
it's also
to explain
because there's
everything.
that murder mystery aspect. It's got that film noir
yeah
aspect, which
And-
cyberpunk, Blade Runner is kind of known for that
yeah
aspect.
yeah.
So good.
Yeah, and the whole like New Year's Eve thing is really cool, and just that ending. Callum was watching it. He got about halfway through, and he's like, "It's really good." I'm like, "Wait till you get to the end." There's just thousands of people on screen.
Yeah.
I actually
It's
did have a
insane.
bit of an issue with this on streaming because you got so much details in the crush and compression.
Oh, it was a crushing, yeah.
and it was like, oh,
Yeah.
you start to lose a lot.
That's
of
why you get the
detail.
Blu-ray, baby.
Oh, it came today in the mail.
You have to fly to Germany
Yeah.
and get. No.
Yeah.
You don't import it. You have to fly. No. But yeah, this movie getting a proper boutique Blu-ray or 4K release
Or 4K would be nice.
would be. I would spend ungodly amounts of money. Like this would be a dream of mine to get a
4K,
proper
yeah.
to get a proper re-release.
Imprint films. Are you listening?
Yeah, like it's just like, yeah. It's hard to explain. Like seeing
It's
this
a gem.
Yeah, I don't remember when I saw it the first time, but I was probably in my teens, and I remember like watching it.
Would
and
have
being like,
blown your teenage
yeah,
mind.
it blew my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, this movie was made for me. The
I'll lend you-
soundtrack, my
I'll lend you
God,
the movie.
the soundtrack is like they went into my mind and said, what songs do you want in a 90s action movie, James? This soundtrack.
Yeah.
My God, it's just got this like
And there's some live performances
yeah.
too.
Yeah, and music is such an important part of the movie because you've got characters who are like club promoters and they own a
Record
club
label
and are
owners
singers
and-
and
Yeah.
there's like actual bands, performing on stage. It's like this 90s grungy alternative.
Yeah.
And then you've got this kind of electro dance kind of aspect to it and then a bit of hip hop just for good measure. And I'm like, did Catherine Bigelow, like, did you just, what, you made this movie for me?
Yeah, she had the finger on the pulse.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a good movie. I mean, I can't stay. And because it's got that cult kind of unseen or underseen status, it makes it more special.
Yeah, like,
But
look,
that doesn't mean that, like, everyone should see it because
I mean, I
it's
essentially
freaking
went
awesome.
in blind. I went in blind. I heard people on the internet were like, "Oh, this is on streaming. Oh my god, I forgot all about this movie. I haven't seen this movie
Yeah.
in years. Like it's been what, like 20 years, whatever else."
95, 95, yeah,
Yeah.
almost 30 years.
So it's like, and I watched it going in blind, and I was very surprised that like it's Ray Fiennes. The man's not a nobody. You know what I mean? Why
Yeah,
wasn't
but-
this bigger?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it came out in 95. A lot of great movies came out in 95. Heat
True.
and Seven and so many others. And I don't know, I guess people just weren't, it didn't, I don't know, because it bombed, like it made no money. And
Actually, no. His accent. I would say there's one slight fault with this movie. I think his accent slipped a couple times.
no, man, I love his accent in this movie. His performance is so good. Everyone in this movie is so good. Angela Bassett is freaking badass. Juliette Lewis is amazing.
All I'm saying, sometimes his English
Michael
accent
Wincott,
slips
Michael
a little
Wincott, the
bit.
greatest voice in cinematic history. I mean, oh my god, Vincent D'Onofrio you mentioned before, William
Vincent
Fichtner.
D'Onofrio. Vincent
I mean,
D'Onofrio plays a good bad cop. You know what I mean?
he plays a good bad guy. Like he's just so
Yeah.
good. Yeah, Tom Sizemore, sleazy. Tom Sizemore is like super sleazy, awesome. I mean, this movie's so damn good.
Yeah, watch it if you get a chance. Fantastic.
If you can get a
film.
hold, I mean, like Nathan said, it's
Look,
hard.
it's
It's
on
hard to.
streaming
It
at
was
the
a big
moment.
deal when it came on HBO Max, so it's not available in Australia on streaming, as
It's-
far as I know.
It's not available in Australia on streaming. I watched it through HBO Max, and then I bought the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray was only $17 on Amazon. Like,
Yeah, it's not hard to find it if
Yeah.
you can import it.
So watch it if
now.
you have
but
access
it's just
to it,
because
but-
it's got that.
But no one knows about it. That's
Yeah,
the thing.
it's because it's one that no one knows about, and because it never got a proper US release.
It's got a low,
Everyone
low
who
profile.
would talk about it and see it never has. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a great movie.
Fun fact: when Angela Bassett pushes Ray Fiennes up against the wall and says, "Right here, right now," that's the sample from
Really?
the Fatboy Slim. That's what they used
Wow.
in the Fatboy Slim song. I love this movie so much.
Well, let's see. It gets even better. I didn't know that.
Yeah, this movie's so good. And like I was saying at the end, the New Year's Eve sequence at the end with all the people is like it's that type of movie that we talk about every week. Of like they don't make 90s style
Yeah.
action movies where they go places and there's cars and there's people and there's shooting and there's action, there's car chases. And,
Everything, yeah, it's all real. It
Yeah.
feels real. It's great.
Yeah,
I reckon that's it.
yeah,
You
that's
happy?
enough.
I think. Thank you for joining us, Alan.
Thank you
pleasure.
for sitting and looking at stuff to buy on your laptop.
Looking up laptops to buy on my
JB.
laptop.
Speaking of Der Video Hausen, he's on JB at hi-fi.com at the moment. He's looking up stuff
Yeah,
he
I got
needs
no
to buy.
excuse.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week. Please like and share the Tuesday Review Facebook page, the Instagram, the Twitter at Tuesday Review AU. We'll be back next week. Adios, cousins.
Maybe.